This is a really good one. Tim, how do I prove that a financial advisor is worth their salt? Now, just to give you some context, I asked the question in a nicer way than it was posited to me. The way that it was written was, show me your net worth, then we can talk money. Thought that might have been a little aggressive for the show, but we wanted to change it. How do I prove that a financial advisor is actually worth their salt and I can trust them with the management of my resources?
Yeah, you've probably heard the phrase, you can't lead people where you've not been.
Yeah.
And there is, I think the heart of that question, the snark in that question is about there are people, YouTube, TikTok, who hold themselves out as financial experts and tell people what to do with their money. But later we find there were financial basket cases themselves.
Yeah.
So how do you know if you're working with someone who's like a legitimate, wise person who has their own financial house in order, or if they're just giving advice based on what gets clicks or what gets ads to come to them through whatever channel they're promoting themselves on? That's a very fundamentally different thing. If they're selling a product that pays them well, and it's really about their financial best interest rather than your own. This is a challenging thing because the reality is, like, there's no way to guarantee that someone's not going to be some kind of fraud.
Sure.
Just a back up and a side story. Back in the late aughts, I guess 2008, 2009 timeframe, there was a local financial advisor who was a CFP, Certified Financial Planner Professional, who was down the road from us, maybe about 4 miles down the road from us, who turned out to be running somewhat of a Ponzi scam, end up going to jail, and I think end up dying in jail.
Wow.
And the story was he was basically telling people to mortgage their homes and then invest it into like this kind of Ponzi scheme-ish investment thing. So he makes money as the mortgage broker, and then he makes money on investing it into this Ponzi scheme kind of a thing. And then when we all know what happened with the housing collapse in 06, 07, 08, 09, all of the foreclosures, the equity getting wiped out, people lost their life savings. And it was turned out that this guy was a complete financial basket case. He had his home mortgaged to the hilt, and he was, it was a complete mess. So this is what we tell people to do. There are 5 things I think you should look for in a financial advisor that can help you know whether or not that they're going to have your best interest in mind. And number 1 is that, look, you should probably be looking for someone with a Christian character. So the first thing is Christian. Are they a Christian? Do they share the like precious faith? Yeah. Because while it doesn't guarantee you're not going to get some kind of shyster, it does say there's a common worldview at heart. There's a common God to whom we serve. And especially if it's a credible profession, and you can tell by the way that they live their life and hold themselves out online and in person, you can get a sense of where their true priorities lie. Yeah. That can be helpful. The second thing would be to look at their character. Character matters. It does. And what you don't know with character is it's hard to see someone who's lying about lots of things. But one thing that does tell you a little bit about someone's character is their credit report, their credit score. And we tell our clients that anyone in our publicly facing ministry or financial advising side, the financial advisors or people within our Life Institute ministry, anyone is allowed to ask them at any time, show me a copy of your credit score or credit report, just to have evidence that their own house is in order. I think that is important. It doesn't guarantee that they're not doing stupid things, but it does say if they're paying their debts on time, if they're handling their money well and wisely. I think there's a way in which that credit score is formative or helpful to know what their character is. And you may also, for the character aspect of thing, ask for, character references or other clients and see what they have to say about this individual. Oftentimes advisors will have individuals that they have said, hey, if I ever had someone asking for kind of background or speak to my qualities or character, would you be willing to do that? And if they've given you that permission as the advisor, I would be able to go ahead and go, here's so-and-so, let me let them know you're going to reach out to them. But they've given me permission to share their contact information so that you can ask any questions you want to know. That's another way of potentially getting a character reference. It's not perfect. I mean, someone can set up their cousin to lie about their relationship, whatever. There are ways to lie about that, but it's another step. The second area would be competence. Competence deals really with it'd be nice to know in the next market downturn, this isn't their first rodeo, that they've been around for a while and that they're surrounded by people who have the experience and expertise that one needs. So I do not believe that you have to have a 20-year-old veteran to have competence, or that 20-year-old veteran automatically shows that you have competence. But I do think that if you're out there on your own, you just started out and you have no one around to support and help you, like there's questions about competence there. So competence is demonstrated through being able to offer advice on a wide spectrum of financial topics and issues. And we're going to actually get to that here in a moment, but that's one aspect of competence. Do they only have one thing that they have expertise in, or are there other areas of expertise that they're able to offer? So that's the idea of competence. Finally, there's credentials. And not finally, the fourth item would be credentials. Credentials would be like, I look for a couple designations that matter. Designations they don't prove everything, but what they do show is they're committed to lifetime learning, that they understand a broader scope of the financial process. It could be a CFP designation or a Certified Kingdom Advisor CKA designation. Those are two I value very highly. Obviously, I hold those two. There are other designations. You could be a CPA, Certified Public Accountant, with financial expertise and obviously having a tax knowledge that could be potentially very beneficial, or other types of designations that demonstrate that commitment to lifetime learning. To me, that really matters. Mm-hmm. And then the final step would be looking for someone with insight. And when I say insight, Tyler, I mean that what we're doing is we're looking for someone who doesn't look at you and say, I can sell you an annuity, and everyone who comes into me, I'm going to sell you an annuity, and you get annuity, and you get annuity, and you get annuity. No, we're giving people what they actually need. Mm-hmm. You know the saying, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if all you sell is one product, it doesn't matter what someone comes in for, the solution to their problem is going to be your solution that you offer. You don't want to work with a financial advisor that only does that. In my opinion, there can be exceptions if someone's really acting ethically and will actually turn people away if that's not going to meet their needs. But I have an example. I met with a woman who was in her 70s and got a payout from an estate. And this is like all the money in the world that she has. It's $150,000. And she took it to a financial advisor and he put it in an annuity, the whole thing into an annuity. And she doesn't have enough excess cash to pay taxes and other things that come up. So she's having to dip into the annuity and use it not in the way intended, destroying its income producing power and ability. The annuity that she was sold is not a bad annuity. It was actually one of the good ones. There are a couple out there that are actually quality, and I think this is one of them. But this guy had no business putting all of her money in that. Like wow. that was unwise. And that's where insight means that I can look at you and I can say, well, I'm not just going to sell you an annuity. Maybe there are things that we need to bulk into this to help make sure you're a good steward, and have resources and reserves, that we have an income stream, that we have other sources of assets and savings to make this plan work.
Yeah.
So that means you are able to offer advice with taxes and talk about how investing works with taxes and estate planning and insurance planning and investment planning and all of the charitable giving, all of the rest of these areas of our lives. Someone with insight can help you figure a way to put them all together in a beautiful, cohesive whole rather than a disjointed collection of things that aren't working together well.
They don't make sense together. No. Yeah. That's really good. We actually have an episode specifically on these 5 things. It's episode number 11, 5 things to look for in a financial advisor. So make sure you go check that out.
Yeah.
I think it's a really helpful piece of content.
The topics discussed in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific investment advice or recommendations. Investing and investment strategies involve risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Securities and advisory services are offered through Genius Wealth Management, member FINRA and SIPC.